I want to leave the floor now with a great pleasure to Bruno Zanardi. Bruno Zanardi teaches at the University of Urbino. Wonderful university, I must say. Theories and technique of restoration. He comes from the great school of Giovanni Urbani. And his focus deals with the natural landscape and with the cultural landscape. So the interaction between the two of them. It's a very short abstract, so he will be able to speak in the 20 minutes we have foreseen for his speech. Thank you very much.
Allora, ovviamente ringrazio.
Of course, I want to thank you for inviting me to this important meeting with qualified personalities. I must say that my intervention, talking about the historic and artistic heritage, is way less international. I would say it's mainly Italian, although many of the issues I face have valid worldwide. Fact is, worrying about conservation of works of art has the same root of the ecological movement. It's the same opinion movement according to which there are more and more people worrying for the ways we produce and live, worrying that those ways may compromise the balance in between the different components of the physical world, undermining the elements that allow our survival. These are people that today find in the Laudato Si of Pope Francis a confirmation of their worries. Another fact is that today in Italy, and this is why I said my intervention is mainly Italian, there are 8,100 city councils, and 3,000 of these are almost not inhabited, and others have less than 5,000 people living in them. So it means that almost 70% of our territories is not inhabited, is not farmed, is not or is going in this direction. And it's true that all the damages to the artistic patrimony and heritage, because these are the two issues I focus on, the damages to our heritage, artistic heritage, come from the environment, an environment which is not balanced by the agricultural world, the control of rivers, of woods, etc. So the protection of our historical centers, of our 8,000 city council and 800,000 churches, was granted before by the work of inhabitants, of citizens and priests, monks, and today their number has decreased and they are older than before. The average age of people in the church is 70 years old today in Italy. This is a dramatic data if we consider it. There are two other issues. There is one third issue, sorry. So how much does it cost in terms of lack of economy, the fact of abandoning our territory, our farm territory, and the hydrogeological disaster implied to favor the aggression from building speculation? What is the monetary cost for our country, so for us citizens, of land desertification because of traditional agriculture? And what is the human cost of death because of cancer provoked by poisons and fertilizer and chemicals we use on our lands? If we talk about the artistic heritage, what is the cost of not preventing hydrogeological damages like L'Aquila? The earthquake in L'Aquila was in 2009, and the city is still abandoned to itself. Italy doesn't have a structure that in case of an earthquake can intervene and say to people what they shall do in terms of reconstruction, for example. So someone who says how it were, what it were. So this is one of our gaps in the protection of our artistic heritage. What is the human cost of of building speculation, and what is the cost coming to technical data because of Italian laws, the lack of protection of environment, the environment that is then the cause of degradation of the lands. So if we are ideologic, there's the constitution, which is sacred, and I honor it. But when we go back to the constitution and we do not follow with technical actions to put in practice the principle, we have formulas that are useless. So what is the cost of this waste in Italy? If we do not realize that old cities, landscape that are human landscape and works of art that are still in place are basically the environment or the only possible environment for the men of human sciences. If we do not realize that we are in a time where humankind realizes the historical situation and some values like past art witness the possibility that human action can integrate with world beauty and not destroy it, like speculation in building is distracting instead, destroying the beauty of the world. And the problem of contemporary architects is a huge word problem and a specific problem in Italy because the urban disasters have done are under everybody's eyes. I think that you can see in the images I've prepared if we can show the slides. If we do not realize that now mankind is understanding the terrible consequences of his action, and we do not understand that we can integrate with human action to the beauty of the world, the new dimension of human elements to the environment, to the landscape that are necessary for a balance, an ecologic balance among all the components that are part of the natural landscape. And this introduces us to the concept of cultural ecology that is contained in the Laudato Si as well. And science and technology are a meeting point of different competences and skills. Correlation for the Archbishop Sorondo, who talks before. First of all, there are nature sciences, but are the disciplines considering mankind in its specificity of a living being expressing itself, able to express itself through language and art. At the center of the ecological problem, we put the relationship in between the conservation of nature and mankind conservation, mankind. And of course, if from pollution we didn't get an impulse to scientific research and rational behavior, this could be one of the possible answers to the issue of energy sources. It's true that if we do not find cold fusion energy sources, we will not be able to eliminate oil. But today already, we can have national behaviors that requires to be shared and implemented. They require governance of things, roadmaps. They require someone to govern us, and this is something we haven't seen yet because of many different reasons. Of course, these are problems, but these things are not even taken into account. They are not part of our politicians' agendas from city council to regions or the national government level. At the center of this, we have the relationship in between conservation of nature and conservation of mankind. If we didn't get an impulse from growth of scientific research and rational behaviors, there's an old phrase, an old motto in the conference of Heidegger on technique. So technology is a danger and a safeguard. Where there's a higher danger, there's a higher possibility to save as well. So rational behaviors might lead to the opposite, and this is something we have to think about. There's the anti-industrialism of the 19th century and worries of that time. To avoid that the measure will be answered just with old superstition, we need a rational approach, converting these actions in indication of precise limits for each discipline where we face the problem of environment. That's the reason of biodynamic agriculture. It's a science, but it's a modern science created around 1 century ago. Not many people are aware of that. And it's a science that asked itself the problem of the confrontation with the environment to solve it not ideally or with superstitions, another shadow on biodynamics. So the person who talked before me said that a group, like a set of people who want to go back in time. Here we are in front of someone who thinks to solve the problem not ideologically, as I said, with old superstitions, as many people believe, but on a rational base, who want to overcome the limits of traditional agriculture with pests and fertilizers or with OGMs. Here we have the more stringent need to protect for the protection of the art heritage, to put at the center of our work the art heritage as a whole, and we have to put it in relationship with the environment where it has been inserted in centuries. The importance of the artistic patrimony, the artistic heritage, is what makes our country so beautiful worldwide and known worldwide. This is the important link that must be enhanced. How? Through an action that is been known for 50 years now, and that can be summed up in the prevention and the protection of our artistic heritage in its relationship with the environment. Thank you very much.
Grazie di cuore.
Thank you very much, Bruno Zanardi. I would just like to underline a point out of your speech, meaning the importance of conservation of nature. The second point is the invitation and the commandment for rational approaches, which is another point that we can take home from what we've heard so far. I believe it's important. Very well. So, we are fully in schedule. So as you see, Spirit is leading us, just to use a metaphor.